All right. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. I know time is precious during back to school season, but I appreciate you sharing it with us. The purpose of this 30-minute webinar is to provide an overview of the statewide Learn to Return program for new school leaders. And I did get a piece of feedback from a partner today of like, ooh, new school leaders. School leaders, is that an exclusive term? Have we unintentionally excluded people from this learning opportunity? And I'm sorry if it came across that way to anyone. From my perspective, you are all school leaders. Anybody who is willing to step up and serve their community in this capacity, who continues to learn and grow alongside us. You are a leader, you are a servant leader, which from my perspective is the most important in moving kind. So anyway, I didn't mean for this language to be exclusive. I hope that you know it came from a place of gratitude and appreciation for the work that you do. Next slide, please. Alrighty, we have a jam-packed agenda, but I want to keep it short because I know that you've been in meetings all day, just as I have. We will do a welcome, some introductions. I see some new faces and some new names. I also see some folks returning. So we'll hold space for some quick group intros. I'll do an overview of the core components of this program, and then I will welcome some guests from DOH, OSPI, and the ESD network to introduce themselves and help share how they fit into the ecosystem of this program. I'll highlight some other resources that I want you to have in your back pocket as you enter this school year, and then we will close. I do not know if we will have time for questions at the end, so I invite you to drop your questions in the chat throughout this presentation. My colleague Jess Harvey has volunteered to answer your questions in the chat. If anybody can stump Jess with a question that is too hard, I will follow up with you and ask for your mailing address to send you a prize. I would love to see her stumped with a difficult question. I don't know what the prize would be. It would be a COVID test. I'm going to mail you a COVID test if you can stump Jess. But really, please, anything that comes up for you, nothing is too in the weeds, even though I will be keeping the content pretty high level. But drop it in the chat and we'll do our best to get it answered. Okay, Jordan, maybe we could stop sharing the slide deck for a minute. I do see some new faces and names. So if folks wouldn't mind, everybody on this call in the chat, would you introduce yourself, your name, your role, your organization? Anything else? Anything else that you want to put in there? What you had for breakfast or what you're looking forward to tonight? What you hope to gain from this webinar? Great. Keep the intros coming. My name is Sarah. I'm the Director of School Programs at Health Commons Project. We are a Washington-based nonprofit. I'll talk a little bit more about our role, but why don't we get into the core content that folks are really here for. Alrighty, next slide, housekeeping items. Closed captions are available if you would like them. You'll go to the bottom of your Zoom screen. It says CC closed caption. You can click on that. We will keep everyone muted except for folks who are speaking. Our guest speakers today, you can unmute yourself when the time comes. And we are recording this webinar so we can share it with you after. We'll post it online. We'll also follow up with the slides and any other resources that we've referenced on this call. Great. So what the heck is Learn to Return? New school leaders on this call, you may have heard this name referenced in a couple different places, just in passing. Superintendent Reichdahl gave us a shout out on the webinar today. So the goal of this time together is to answer the question, what is Learn to Return? What do I need to know as I enter this next school year? Next slide, please. Okay. Learn to Return started as a pilot in November 2020. And our goal was to answer the question, is COVID-19 testing in schools a helpful tool to reopen schools and to keep them open? Because you'll remember, November of 2020, most schools in Washington, most schools in the country had been shut down for the early days of the pandemic. So we were testing a hypothesis that this was a helpful mitigation strategy for schools to use to reopen. That's why we call it Learn to Return. We were learning how to return from shutdown. I think that the name is still appropriate today. I don't know about others, but I feel like I'm still learning how to do this, still learning how to evolve as the pandemic evolves. So maybe we'll need a rebrand, but for now, we're sticking with the pilot name. So this pilot started with 13 public school districts who raised their hand. They self-selected and said, yes, I want to help you answer this question. Through the pilot, we learned that offering free COVID tests in school can help reduce lost learning days, make staff and students feel safer to return to in-person learning, and it can bolster inadequate access and, quite frankly, inequitable access to tests in the community. Because of these learnings and more, we decided to expand from pilot to program and to offer these free COVID testing services to any Washington K-12 school that wanted to offer COVID tests to their school community. So you can see on this map the wide geographic reach this program has achieved over the last year and a half. Today, it's important to note that there is a requirement in the K-12 guidance that schools provide timely access to diagnostic testing. And we can unpack this sentence a little bit. Schools need to provide access. This can either be testing through the school or a referral of some sort to a community testing site or a provider in your community who offers COVID-19 testing. But the word timely gets tricky. In the guidance, timely is defined as within a 30-minute drive. So schools need to offer access to a test within 30 minutes from the school and a diagnostic test. That means that you suspect, for whatever reason, the individual, they may have symptoms, they may have been exposed to COVID, but they need a COVID test for diagnostic purposes. So this is not screening anybody for any reason. This is a clinically indicated test because somebody has symptoms or known exposure to COVID-19. So you can think of this program as a resource to meeting this requirement, but this program is more than that. This program positions you, a school leader, in the seat of choice to figure out what is right for your school community and what statewide resources can we utilize to customize your COVID-19 testing strategy. We can go to the next slide now, Jordan. So let's look back at last school year. I showed you that map. Last school year, 833 out of 850 school partners, so public, private, tribal, charter, independent schools, 833 offered COVID-19 testing at some point during the school year. So my guess is, statistically, if you are on this call, if you are working in a school, your school district or school building did offer COVID-19 testing at some point last year. Last school year, this program distributed 4.4 million rapid antigen tests to school partners. Rapid antigen tests are the ones that most of us are familiar with. You self-collect your nasal swab, you stick it in the little test kit, and it results within 15 minutes, right? You don't have to send it off to a lab. It's rapid because you are rapidly resulting it on site or through a take-home test. So 4.4 million of those tests went out to schools and then went out to students and staff, families, and community last year. Schools also have access to something called PCR tests. These are the tests that we mostly saw at the beginning of the pandemic. They're certainly still around today, but these are the ones that you would go to that drive-through site and somebody would collect your specimen and then they would ship it to a lab and you would be notified 24, 48, 72 hours later. This is a highly reliable form of COVID testing. We call it swab and send because you're swabbing and then sending it to a lab to get those results. So last school year, Washington schools conducted more than 200,000 PCR tests with an average positivity rate of 12.2%. Now, we don't celebrate COVID by any means, but we can celebrate finding COVID. When you find COVID, you can intervene early and prevent outbreaks, prevent school closures, prevent lost learning days. So this 12.2%, there's a deep and important story in it, which is that last year we did find COVID in schools, and that early detection helped us keep schools safe. So this graph here is the PCR testing, the PCR testing volume last year. You can see that dip during winter break. Winter break, like, ooh, what an oasis. We weren't doing COVID testing, we weren't in school, we were with our loved ones. And then we came back during the Omicron surge, and you can see that in the data here. I think that y-axis, it's teeny tiny, but over 20,000 tests, it looks like at the peak, 23,000 tests in a single week performed at schools, and that's just the PCR tests. Okay, Jordan, next slide. So I've mentioned rapid antigen, I've mentioned PCR. What I'm really getting at is that you as a school leader, when you participate in Learn to Return, you have access to a menu of testing technologies. You get to pick and choose what's right for you and your school community. This menu is fully funded by DOH, and it's also vetted by DOH. This means that we are only giving the highest quality, best in class technology to schools and to kids. So this alleviates the burden on you as a school leader to figure out what type of testing technology, which vendor, in the sea of hundreds of options, who do I pick? DOH has done that work for you. There is still an element of choice in this menu, and our team is available to you to help figure out which testing technology or combination of testing technologies is the right fit for your school community. You do not need to make that decision alone. We will do a consultation with you. We will provide recommendations to help guide that decision. You can change your testing technologies at any time. If you want to do a refresh as we enter back to school season, if you want to do a refresh during winter break, we can always adjust as needed. So this is the utilization of the vendors last year. You'll notice at the bottom, well, let me start first at the top. Atlas Genomics, Curative, and CIC Health are all vendors who are, they will partner with you and with us in partnership with you to customize a strategy for your school. These vendors are hosting trainings next week. We can drop the link to those in the chat, but those trainings would be good to go to if You know that your school has already partnered with these providers, with these vendors, or if you're curious about what they have to offer and if it might be a good fit for you, you could attend one of those trainings next week. At the very bottom there, you'll notice that virtually every school who offered COVID testing offered rapid antigen supplies that were provided by the State Department of Health. This is a combination of take-home tests and professional point of care tests, which is a rapid test that you would perform on site as the school and have visibility into the results. Because everybody is accessing the supply, I did want to go into a little more depth on this one. So on the next slide, Jordan, if you need to re-up on your rapid antigen supplies, and you should be ordering enough right now to get through the month of September, and our team can help you calculate that number if you need support. We'll send this out afterwards, but you're going to go to the DOH school test request form. The very first item on that page is screenshotted here, and it's your school's name. So if you're a public school, you'll click for the whole school district. If you are a private school, you should be able to click your specific school's name. Do not select the district that you are geographically close to. Your name should be there. Now, public or private, if you're looking at this list and your school is not listed, that means that we need additional shipping information from you that we don't have. So there's a separate form for you to fill out to give us that shipping information, and then you can place your order with DOH. This is the hardest part, is just getting on this form. After that, it's like Amazon. You place your order and it's shipped directly to your district or your private school. Again, we are here to support you on this. ESD coordinators, who will introduce themselves in a moment, are also here to support you on this. Okay, next slide, please. Great. I know I've talked a lot, but there are so many people involved in supporting this program and supporting you. So I wanted to invite a couple folks from DOH, OSPI, the ESD Network, and Health Commons Project to introduce themselves. Guest speakers, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, your role, how you fit into the ecosystem, how are you supporting schools, anything else that you want attendees to know. DOH, our glorious funder, we will start with you. Heather and perhaps then Michelle.
Wonderful. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Heather Drummond. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the testing branch manager here at the Washington State Department of Health, overseeing our community testing efforts and our school testing efforts alongside Michelle Chung. We are just so grateful for the partnership with OSPI, the ESD Network, Health Commons, and all of the schools. The intention of this program and the resources that we've been provided is to reduce barriers to access for testing and to ensure that testing resources are meeting the needs of each unique school and their community. So grateful for another year to support this work, and incredibly grateful for your partnership.
Me too. Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle Chung. I am the school's testing supervisor working on the DOH testing team. As Sarah alluded to, the Learn to Return program is funded by the Washington State Department of Health via the CDC ELC Schools Reopening Grant. And so kind of what our role is, and specifically my role, is working with our implementation partner Health Commons and our school partners, ESDs and OSPI, to really work together to provide strategy and direction of the resources and support that's offered through the program that you guys are seeing from the past couple of years and what we have offered this year.
OSPI colleagues, Martin and then Annie.
Thanks, Sarah. My name is Martin Mueller. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Student Engagement and Support here at OSPI, and a super amount of gratitude to Health Commons, Department of Health, and our ESD partners making this program available for our districts. You know, we hit the ground running really, really fast last year, trying to get, as Sarah noted, going from pilot to at scale really very quickly over the course of the school year. We had a little bit more planning horizon this year. Our role is mostly being the bank for you guys, right? So we're administering funding through our apportionment system. You're working on the ground with Health Commons, you're working on the ground with the ESDs. Department of Health is approving funding, and they're communicating with us, and then we're putting that in the apportionment system, so you get that on a monthly basis to support the cost of your staff. Annie's a great resource. I'll pass it to her in a minute around kind of the more technical issues. If you have funding issues or process issues or big system issues, I'm your point of contact for that.
I'm Annie Hetzel. I'm the School Health Services Consultant at OSPI. I'm formerly or always will be a school nurse, I think. Like Martin said, I provide technical assistance, feedback and communication to and from school nurses and other folks working in the schools. But anything related to school health, I am happy to help. Thanks.
Thank you, Annie. Thank you, Martin. Okay, ESD colleagues, Jessica Vavris and Amy Lutz.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jessica Vavris. It's great to be here. It's great to see all of you. I'm the Executive Director of the Association of ESDs. So our 9 ESDs form one network, and my role is to support connections and coherence across the network and in close partnership with partners at OSPI, in this case, DOH and Health Commons. My role directly is sort of a behind the scenes role. So I help with communications and elevating questions to the right places. Our coordinators, so Amy Lutz is one of 9 coordinators that are based in each of the ESDs. I'll put a link in the chat to our website for you. Really, they're all boots on the ground to help you, connect you to resources, support day-to-day questions that you have, connect you with your Health Commons people, with the testing questions you have. And this year, as we think about moving into the 22-23 year and beyond, really helping you and your leaderships think about integrating what you've learned over the last few years through this pandemic response into your safety and pandemic mitigation planning for the future. And that's sort of a big bundle of stuff, but they're really here to support you with all things. They're a great point of contact. Amy, I'll welcome you in.
Thanks, Jessica. So I got nominated to speak on behalf of all 9 of our ESD coordinators. And to just build on what Jessica said, we are here in our ESDs to help you. We work closely with the Health Commons program managers on the ground, connecting you to resources within our ESD and our local communities. And we also serve as a liaison to your local public health agencies. So please feel free to reach out to us. And I think everybody waved, and Jessica has a link to all of our contact information. So thank you, and let's welcome to a great school year.
Yeah, thank you, Amy. Thanks, Jessica. I've talked enough for Health Commons Project, so I thought I would introduce Samantha Lara, one of our project managers. Samantha, would love to hear from you.
Hi all, Sarah mentioned I'm Samantha Lara. I'm a project manager with Health Commons Project. I know some of my current or former schools in my portfolio are here. I know I saw Ya here and Serene and Marla. Marla's a newer addition to Learn to Return. So the project managers here at Health Commons support you all with your testing needs, anything related. I know I saw Melissa post a question, I believe, about switching to PCR testing. We can support you with selecting new vendors, so switching different testing technologies, making those kind of decisions to fit your own specific testing requirements. Or as I like to tell my schools when I onboard, what are your anxieties and how can we alleviate that by tailoring a solid testing program for you? We can also support you with vaccination events for your school community. And then we are also the avenue through which you can apply for the labor fund to support your testing program. And I will share, I think Annie, you shared about being a nurse. I think for the rest of my life, I'm going to be a teacher in my heart. I was a teacher up until a year ago. I just rounded off my year at Health Commons. So it's been a year since I left the classroom, but very much still a teacher, I think, the rest of my life in my heart. I'm happy to support you all here. I know the project managers are eager to support you all as you're coming back to school.
Thanks, Samantha. We'll send this out afterwards. There's a great map in here on the next slide of the ESDs and each of the contacts based on their geographic region. So that's a great resource for folks. A couple other resources that I want to flag for you on the next slide. You've heard a couple folks mention the Labor Fund. There is financial support available to you to hire or reimburse staff who are supporting your testing program. Those applications are open today. The financial ask is so interwoven with the testing strategy and the testing technology you're using. Because of this, we are requiring at least one touch base with Health Commons to help craft your application. Our goal is to help you think about it strategically and to create an ask that will make you financially whole. So reach out. I would actually recommend reach out to your ESD coordinator first for a primer session on what to expect, and then we can get your application submitted. Learn to Return has a website. Somebody complimented us on the colors of our website today, which I had no idea picking colors for a website would be as involved of a decision as it was. But check out learntoreturn.org. Lots of tailored information for school leaders there. We're watching the guidance, we're watching national trends, we're reading the news and synthesizing it for you. We will auto subscribe everybody to our email newsletters and alerts. This provides just-in-time information. Again, it is tailored for you. We are trying to block the noise and help you make quick and important decisions on behalf of your school community. And then we have this Learning Network series. Next week, we have some vendor-specific trainings. We're creating our curriculum for the rest of the school year and would love to hear from you on what your needs are. What would you want to talk about with your colleagues across schools and districts, with state agencies? So yes, I know we're at time. Thank you so much, everyone.